Benefit Corporation, making premium gourmet cookies and mixes. In case you are confused, I shall let her set you straight. Lura Daniels Ball, good morning.
Good morning.
You're one of those people like me, too many jobs.
Too many jobs, but you left out proud mom and grandmom.
Oh, yeah. How could I leave that out? Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you.
And in true mama and grandmama form, she came in on Mother's Day Eve bearing gifts for us when we should be bearing gifts for you.
Yes, my mother taught me right.
Yes, indeed, she did. But, you really reached out because you wanted to talk about some of our Black history. And, of course, that doesn't surprise me because that's what you guys do with our authors. And some, when you talk about building bridges to corporate America, some of that is about understanding the Black cultural and historical contributions to our country.
Right, because, I believe that Black history is American history. And until everybody understands that, we really won't have reconciliation in this country.
Yeah, and, I'm laughing right now because on my Instagram, we had a man on the show last week. I think it was last week. Yeah. Jay French, he's a rapper. And we got into a kind of a back and forth because he says, don't call me Black, call me American. Right? And he made the same point. Black history is American history, but from a different perspective. And my perspective is, what my dad said is that we're not really Americans until we get the rights of Americans. But at the same time, I obviously claim my history as heritage as an American, but I'm Black. And I'm proud of that and the history of my ancestors. So is that, do we have to choose? That's why I laughed when you said Black history is American history.
Yeah, I don't think we have to choose. See, we are fortunate to be able to go back centuries and have the heritage of the African diaspora. And then we gifted America with our Africanness. And what we brought from Africa built America.
But see, and I think one of the reasons, like folks who are really strong on being foundational Black Americans or ADOS or people who don't identify as much with the African part is because I hope this is why, not because we don't appreciate our African ancestors, but because Black Americans bring something unique to the table. We're the ones who invented jazz and blues and hip hop. That's uniquely American Blackness.
It's uniquely American Blackness, but if you study it, the core and the energy and the DNA comes from Africa.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
But the whole world's DNA comes from Africa. I mean,
exactly.
The human race is descended from a Black woman in the Nile Valley.
Exactly. But you don't have to deny your Africanness to say that what we created in America, the suave and everything, takes away from this the evolution of it.
What we created and also what we sacrificed. I mean, especially when we're looking against the backdrop of reparations and that whole fight that's happening really vibrantly across the country. Our ancestors did give unique sacrifices, right, for this country to be what it is.
Yes.
And I understand the impulse to not lump it all together and just say it's all African. It's because somehow that deprives our ancestors, our Black American ancestors, of their glory for the sacrifices that they've made. But it sounds like you're saying it doesn't have to be either or.
It doesn't have to be either or. What my goal is to make sure that this whiteness doesn't try to erase our contributions to the fact that people owe what this country is to the contributions of Black Americans and that evolution. That's what I want to make sure, that we are not erased from the books.
So would it be erasing us if we said our contributions as Americans, if we didn't throw the Black descriptor in there?
Oh, no, we need to have the Black descriptor. I would never say I'm an American. I want to say I'm a Black American. I want that to be a part of my title.
Does that mean we're buying into the social construct of race, which was actually created to keep us on plantations and justify our enslavement and oppression?
No, it's just like when I sing, I want people to know I'm a coloratura, not a spinto singer, because a spinto soprano is a very light soprano, and a coloratura is a very colorful soprano.
Very black soprano.
A coloratura is very well. When you hear a black soprano, generally the color is richer, deeper. It's a way to give wordsmithing and imagination, and so people understand when you're wordsmithing, they can give an imaginary and a sight to what you are. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think you have to choose either or. I believe it helps the narrative, and I believe it helps to forward the conversation. It helps to deepen the understanding.
Mr. Phillips says, yes, we have to choose. We can't serve two cultures. But the thing about it, okay, Mr. Phillips, I'm going to let Laura Daniels-Ball respond, but I'm thinking here, if you have 2, 3, and 4 in your DNA, you're serving them whether you acknowledge it or not. And if you don't acknowledge it, it's almost like they're fighting in your bloodstream. Many Black Americans do have a white person in the woodpile, or an indigenous person in the family tree. So how are you not serving your own DNA?
Serving a DNA and understanding your DNA are two different things. For instance, I have macular degeneration in my left eye. When the doctor asked me, "Do you have Caucasian in your background?" I said, "Oh no, never, not." And then I said, "Oh, wait a minute, maybe I do. How do I not know that when I'm 6 generations from enslavement?" And then to know that I have that helps me with my health challenges. Doesn't mean I need to go and say I'm white or start trying to serve a Caucasoid culture. Okay, so knowing what I am helps me inform my health challenges and some other things. Knowing doesn't mean that I then have to choose to serve that culture.
Willie Ellis says we are citizens of the United States or we are consumers of the United States. Okay, I digress because that's, and the reason is because you address something that is going crazy on my Instagram page right now and the KBLA Instagram page. The people are fighting about this very thing, and I'm getting some mean tweets.
I'm saying that's a distraction because that's not where the fight needs to be.
Yeah,
the fight needs to be about uplifting ourselves in this environment that's trying to erase everything having to do with Black.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not where the fight needs to be. We need to focus ourselves on something more intentional, more uplifting, more inspirational, more lasting than whether we're American or Black Americans.
800-920-1580. We're about to unerase some stuff that you didn't even know was erased, because that's what she does. Laura Daniels-Ball is my guest. You're invited in, 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima, but you already knew that. KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. With so many shows on our station weekdays and weekends, it's hard for me to keep track of all the guests who are actually in studio on any given day. I wish I'd known in advance that LADA Nathan Hochman was coming in studio for a recent interview. Had I known, I would have loved to have personally greeted him and then asked him why LA City Council member Curran Price is being criminally prosecuted for allegations of misconduct similar to the conflict of interest violations for which former City Council member Kevin De Leon is only being fined. What's that about, Mr. DA? In fairness to Mr. Hochman, it was former DA George Gascon who actually filed felony charges against Councilman Price. I opined then on how these criminal charges against Price did not pass the smell test. I was concerned then that this was yet another wayward prosecution of a high-profile Black elected, not to mention a waste of taxpayer money. I am even more convinced now that this is a hot mess. To be clear, neither you or I want a bunch of self-serving, greedy, conflict of interest criminals managing the people's business inside LA City Hall. But we also don't want selective or targeted prosecution of black politicians. We've seen that movie before, and we don't need a sequel. It's hard to watch Kevin De Leon get away with paying an $18,000 fine for repeated ethics violations, what he calls an oversight, and at the same time, watch the DA's office continue its criminal prosecution of Kern Price for issues allegedly involving his wife's clients. Motions, I might add, that were passed unanimously by the LA City Councilman. What are you saying, Tavis? I'm glad you asked. D.A. Hochman did not start this inquisition, but he certainly has the power to stop it. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Fundamental fairness. In the absence of fundamental fairness, we experience a cascade of deteriorating conditions. The erosion of trust, the weakening of social cohesion, alienation, marginalization, the legitimacy of authority diminishes, cynicism and disengagement grow, and ultimately, people abandon civic participation altogether. Fundamental fairness, Mr. Hochman, that's all we ask. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay. We're talking with Lura Daniels-Baugh, and I always feel like I should say historian, even though that's not really at your title per se.
Right. I'm a lay historian.
Lay historian, coloratura soprano, and many other things, marketer. But look, you really reached out to me to talk about the Brotherhood of the Sleeping Car Porters. And we hear about this piece of Black history, but I think many people also overlook it.
Yes, I'm actually surprised that I have not seen more about this. And for Black History Month this year, this was our 75th year of 75 consecutive years of partnership with the mayors. Nowhere else in the country is there a Black History Month celebration.
Wow.
Proclamation with a Black History organization and the mayors. So we're very proud of that. We're 80 years old, founded in 1945.
You're talking about
our author study club.
I did not realize our authors study club was 80 years old.
Founded in 1945
Wow.
by Vassie D. Wright and chartered by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black history. So we're very proud of that. And 75 consecutive years from Mayor Boron to Bass, and nowhere else in the country has this happened. So this year was a special year for us. But it is the centennial of the founding of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, which is the first union to serve Black people. Now, more importantly, it is the organization that gave way to the Civil Rights Movement and the on-ramp to the Black middle class. And this is the 100th year anniversary, and I'm surprised that we haven't heard more about it. So part of what we wanted to do in our Black History Month celebration was to have an event to celebrate that. Now, with the fires and everything and the immigration protests, a number of our events had to be moved outside of Black History Month. So we are doing a film screening of 10,000 Black Men Named George that was directed by Robert Townsend. It was a TV special that was aired. It featured Melvin Van Peebles, the young Mario Van Peebles, Andre Brower, who we lost, Brock Peters, who we've lost, Rock, I think he's in Maryland, and it follows A. Randolph Philip Randolph and the forming of it.
Why did I never know about this film? It's from 2002.
Yes, and it follows them. So we are going to do a screening of that film and a discussion. And guess what? We've got Robert, the director. He's going to be there.
Robert Townsend will be
Robert Townsend
there?
will be
Nice.
there. He's confirmed. And we have looked at Robert's background, and he's the godfather of independent filmmaking.
Oh, yeah, for this era, yeah.
Yes, and so he has he's come on board. But I looked at his resume, and this is the year. The Black History theme is African Americans in labor. So we've been doing everything around labor. But I looked at his background, and he has really been a job creator.
Oh, for sure.
And so
Robert Townsend is a legend.
Yes.
He's a legend and a bit of a prototype before we had any doors open to us.
Yes, and so we are going to give him our last Hall of Fame award, and I've called it the Transformative Torchbearer Award.
Why do you say last?
Because we gave 4 Hall of Fame awards.
Oh, you mean for this year?
For this year.
Okay, I
For
thought you meant
during Black History Month, and so we are so honored to be able to give that to him at the actual event. And so we have the support of the mayor's office, but this event is also I'm going to segue to our Black Hollywood Education Resource Center, Sandra Evers Manley, who's been a Trojan of, and I say that because she is a Trojan along with me, but she's their organization is sponsoring this event.
They went to USC,
and
right?
they are sponsoring this event for us and doing incredible work also with the fire, the helping with the fires. But they are supporting and sponsoring this event.
So when and where?
So this event is happening June 21st, and another sponsor is our city library, John Zabo, the city librarian.
Okay.
And so this event is, almost all of our events are free. So it's free to the public. So it is we will screen the film, and we'll have a discussion afterwards, and then we'll present so it's going to be at the Los Angeles Library, 1:00.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to go. I have a conflict because we're doing the State of Black Women in L.A.
Same day?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, there's lots of us in L.A., so
yes.
there's somewhere for everyone to go.
And we are about halfway full already because we've been promoting for some time. But they can go onto our website to RSVP. So it'll be a dessert reception to start, and then the film screening and the award. And we'll also have some labor representatives on the panel also, because we want to talk about that.
Okay, and so what's the website?
The website is oascla.org/RSVP.
Got it.
And from there they can get the link. Now, one thing we're asking, if there are descendants of Pullman Porters out there, we'd like to hear from you, because we'd like to get your story and perhaps that day be able to talk to you, maybe film you, or maybe even have you speak on the panel that day. So we are looking for descendants of Pullman Porters. But this is so important. I can't even begin to tell you how important it is for us to identify that and make sure that we keep that information, in front of people.
Yeah. Jashandra Gibbs in the chat says, hands off our history, Queen. Well said. And that's a great point. There's so much history that we've already captured that we need to make sure folks see it. I can't believe I didn't know about this film. I'm a fan of labor, a fan of Robert Townsend, and certainly of our history. So if people want to tell their stories as part of this recapturing of history, what do they do?
Okay, so there's another project that we're doing. It's called The Roads We've Traveled, in partnership with Arnetta Mack. She's done 4 other books that capture personal histories, and we are so excited to join with her. Ours is called The Roads We've Traveled, Blacks in Labor. Now, this particular project, it's free for you to do a submission, and you can go online. We want to capture your family's legacies, the untold stories, preserving your legacies, your family histories, the people that built our cities, the domestic workers, the union organizers, the entrepreneurs, the everyday people. If you could just select one photograph and 75 words, and you can submit it by May 15th online, it will be in our book that we're going to publish and release June 12th. And so we are looking for those stories, so that, our history is fading. We're losing those stories.
Yeah. And I wanted to circle back. We kind of got ahead of ourselves here,
Okay.
but sometimes I just have to follow the guests when they go where y'all go. So let's get to the basics. What are Pullman Porters?
Pullman Porters. So George Pullman decided that he wanted to create these luxury hotels on wheels. And so that's what he did. Now, they were owned by the Pullman Company. He actually built a city in Chicago where they would live and what have you. And he knew that the best people to staff those would be ex-slaves because they knew how to serve people. And so that's who he employed. And although they didn't get the same kind of wages as the whites did, their wages were far more than any other blacks in the country. And so because of the travel and the places that they went, and because of the income coming in for the families, they were able to establish a black middle class for African Americans. And so the Pullman Porters, they sometimes it was demeaning. We can imagine. Sometimes they'd have maybe 50 families. There were maids also that were brought on board. So it wasn't just the men, but the maids aren't talked about as much as the Pullman Porters were. But they were sharp, dressed to the nines. They all called them George because, white folks didn't care about your name. But they were the epitome of class and stature and service. They did everything from serving the cars to making the beds. The maids would accompany the children, do sewing, but it was they'd have chandeliers in the cars, top china and what have you. The cars were not owned by the rail company; they were owned by George Pullman. And so when you say 10,000 men named George, that's where that comes from. And so at one point, they unionized. So it took them 10 years to be recognized by the AFL-CIO. And A. Philip Randolph and two other gentlemen led that. And so when they finally unionized, there were 4,000. Then when they finally got recognized as a union, of course, whites were unionized way before blacks were. But they finally, in 1937, became a union. But they organized in 1925. But they started in 1867, just after slavery ended.
Wow. I didn't know they started that early. But the Pullman Porters, E.C. Courtney says, I got 2 cousins that were Pullman Porters in my family's Southern GMO train line. So it sounds like, E.C., you need to get their stories and get them in to this project. We're up against news, traffic, and sports right now. But tell us one more time how he can nudge his cousins.
They can go straight to that same email, that same website, and there'll be a link on the website that they can click on and upload their stories, a photo and the story.
OSCLA.org. We'll continue this conversation after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Tensions flared outside of a Grand Rapids, Michigan courthouse as protesters clashed during jury deliberations in the trial of ex-officer Christopher Shore, charged with killing a black man, Patrick Luoya.
I think that they are really weighing the options and the facts, and I really, truly hope that they come up with something soon.
The jury is deadlocked, but was told to keep trying. One person was arrested. Jurors are in deliberations today in the Tyree Nichols murder trial. 3 former Memphis officers are charged with beating him to death back in 2023. That was caught on video. None of the former officers testified. And the Lending Tree survey shows 77% of parents say raising kids is more expensive than expected, with nearly half having fewer children due to costs. The average cost to raise a child now is nearly $300,000, up 36% in 2 years. A $5,000 baby bonus is reportedly under consideration. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the tether? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It's a good time to be a New York Knicks fan. The Knicks pulled off another come-from-behind win at Boston to take a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 Eastern Conference semifinals in the NBA playoffs. A 91-90 victory gives the Knicks a huge advantage over the defending NBA champions. The next two games are in New York. Game 3 is Saturday afternoon at Madison Square Garden. In a text to Shedeur Sanders, future Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady told Deion's son to use his fall in the NFL draft as motivation. Brady has become a mentor to Sanders, who fell from a projected first-round pick to the 5th round on day 3. Sanders is one of 5 quarterbacks on the Cleveland Browns roster. The list includes Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Deshaun Watson. Brady can speak from experience. He was a 7th-round pick of New England in 2000. Brady won 7 Super Bowls and was a 3-time NFL MVP. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality, because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial, because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining, where you're praying for a miracle, and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is, we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. KBLA Talk 1580 and the California Black Chamber of Commerce invite you to the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. Get certified and register as a new bidder. Sell products and services to the state. Learn about pre-bid events and more, and it's all free. All you have to do is sign up at www.calbcc.org. That's www.calbcc.org. Registration for the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, begins at 9 a.m. and the workshop concludes at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. This is a community call to action from the California Black Chamber of Commerce and KBLA Talk 1580. We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Lura Daniels-Ball is a marketing executive, but we perhaps know her best from our Author Study Club LA, oscla.org. If you're trying to go to the event on the 21st with Robert Townsend, see the film, 10,000 Guys Named George, 10,000 Black Men Named George. And it's that's a free event. You can go to oscla.org/RSVP. But you can also link there if you want to tell your story. If you have a family member or friend, or even you yourself who has a Pullman Porter story, you guys are looking for those stories. And you were just breaking down that history, which is kind of a little known history. And also the presence of the Pullman Porters on the West Coast was a thing. I mean, we think about that early history. We don't always look at the West Coast, but my understanding is that Pullman Porters were very influential here on the West Coast, particularly in Oakland.
Yes, and during my research, I was surprised that they don't have as big a presence here in Los Angeles. The big presence was in Oakland. There's a museum, and the library has a huge resource of information. And I haven't been able to figure out why that is, but very large presence on the West Coast. We're actually looking at borrowing some of the items to have on display.
Ooh, nice.
At the exhibit, working through the library. The Pasadena Library right now has a display of some items that they borrowed from the Oakland Museum for, and I'm not sure how long that exhibition's going to be up, but you can go online to the Pasadena Library. I forget which branch it is, but if you went just to the general,
they'll figure it out.
But the West Coast was the hub for the Pullman Porters, although we did host in the 50s one of the main conferences for the Pullman Porters.
Yes, and so I always thought of the Pullman Porters early, 1920s, 30s, 40s. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize it started 2 years after the Civil War in 1867. Right. That is serious, where an entrepreneur, a capitalist said, oh, well, those folks know how to surf. Let's put them on these trains. Mm-hmm. That is wild. Abby Rizzle says the film Ragtime is about the George Pullman Porters as well. I don't know if I've seen that either.
Well, and it's something, because when I look at Ragtime was, I guess, from a musical perspective, I didn't focus on that part. I focused more on the music.
Yeah, well, it's a good argument for seeing it again. But also that represents the beginning of the Black labor movement in the United States,
definitely.
Which is a big deal. And I think we underestimate it, because this is my editorializing here. I believe we get caught up in the talking points and the hype that unions are fat cats with big cigars, and we forget that unions in many cases pulled Black people up into the middle class. I think of my grandfather, who was a postal worker, and that's a union job, a U.S. postal worker, where he was able to fund the education for one young man who went on to be Emeritus Baraka through the union job, lifting our family into the middle class.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a union baby. My dad was a union worker with UAW, and I think of all the things that he was able to bring us into because of the union. And we grew up knowing the union as a family. And he went on to be someone who went into human relations before they called it human relations. He went on to get his certificate in alcohol management, so he wanted to be able to help the guys around him that had issues with family and what have you, so they could stay on the job.
Yeah.
And so he went on to get certificates. He made friends with all the local judges and police officers, whatever, so he could be ombudsman and what have you. And even when they sold the plant to a Japanese firm, he went to Japan to figure out how to be, better equipped and what have you. But the unions were always something positive.
And unions are made up of the workers. That's where they come from. So with Black community organizing and Black labor organizing, this has continued to be the story that's less told about union organizing.
Yes.
And so I think it's great you guys are doing so, especially right now. For those in LA County, we know we have a Black woman who's the head of the LA County Fed, in Yvonne Wheeler.
Yes, and we were fortunate this year for her to be our honorary chair for Black History Month. And we... one of the programs that we did that I was really proud of, a little known or not talked about effort, was the African American security guards unionization.
Yeah, that was a huge moment.
That was a huge.
Here in LA.
It's a template for collective bargaining that is still being used today. And Lola Cuevas Smallwood was a key person in helping to get that done. But it brought together union organizers, community organizers, church members, and elected members. And it basically, they were able to get the security guards organized, which were predominantly African Americans at the time.
Yeah.
And so I brought together the majority of them to honor them for that, because no one had ever brought attention to this movement that now is replicated all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were really happy to do what we call the Origin Awards for them. And it was commemorating the Los Angeles SEIU Security Officers Unionization Campaign. And I was so excited that we got almost all of them there. And it's really important because that was a groundbreaking program.
And also because of the moment we are in right now, where you've got a lot of Black folks trying to organize at Starbucks, at Amazon, and in various Trader Joe's. And many times we are the ones out in front in leadership, and sometimes the first ones to be retaliated against. In this moment, labor becomes, in community organizing in that sense, becomes very important. Morris says Postal Service was a government job more so than having union protection. It's a government job, but it's a union job. Not all government jobs are union jobs. That's why when you hear Elon Musk attacking the public sector, it's really a veiled attack on Black people, because many of those public sector employees are unionized Black folks.
Yep. And it's right. We're in a collective moment. We're in a moment where if we are not working together, we're going to be in trouble. So collective bargaining, working collectively, is a great example of how we need to work together. I've really tried to lead by example. This year, I rolled out the carpet and invited organizations from across the city to compose a true citywide committee, which is something that Vassie Wright did the years that she worked together. And it was difficult, but I think it was rewarding, and it was worth the effort to have other voices come in and say, how they'd like to participate in the citywide celebration. And so that's something that we will continue. We have to create third spaces that we're talking of, spaces where we can all come together and have a common look for a common outcome that serves all of our purposes for a particular goal. And so I really believe that we have to collectively have something that we want to achieve and work together for. And we can go back to our silos and do our own individual work, but there's got to be a place where we all come together on something and move the needle.
Lura Daniels Ball is my guest. When we come forward, I want to talk about some of the things you're seeing, trend lines you're seeing that are alarming you, specifics you shared with me about the erasure of our history and exactly what we can and will do about it. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
And it is this conversation continues day in, day out around here. And we're so very grateful that you're a part of it. Please like, follow, subscribe. Talk Smack. Boy, they're going at it on my IG. KBLA 1580 is where you can find the station. You can find me at DiPrima Radio. DiPrima, and then radio. And I finally started really using my TikTok, and I and doing better on my YouTube posting. I do have those channels, so look for I'm trying to do a thing or two around here. Lura Daniels Ball is my guest. You guys are on socials too, right? Our author study club.
Yes, we are trying to get better as well. Our VP, Dr. Aisha K. Randall, does our social media. And we're trying to be more intentional with our postings as well. We did a lot with our recent bus tour.
Yeah, you brought me these. You brought me souvenirs and cookies. A lot of things going on. So that's a booklet from the bus tour, which is an historical tour, right?
Yes, we have what I like to call the original Black History bus tours. There's a lot of people out there now doing Black History tours, but we did the original tour we started in 1970, and it's Legacies and Landmarks. We took about 150 people on the tour. It was sponsored by LA Metro, and we added something new this year. We added a segment on LA Metro. Okay. So we took people through on LA Metro, and LA Metro gave us these beautiful Black History tap cards, so everybody learned how to do the tap. We went to the LA Arts station.
Right. So these are the kinds of things that you can do with our author study club. Not just read books, but go out and about and see history as it's still existing in LA, which is everywhere.
Right. But what I wanted to say is what was key about that is our destination was Little Tokyo, which was Bronzeville back in during the war. When the Japanese were sent into internment camps, it became the Black Hub, Bronzeville.
Yeah.
And so that was a key destination for our Black History Tour.
I mean, which is, in a way, it's really sad history because when they stole the civil rights of the Japanese Americans and put them in concentration camps, that was the only thing that allowed us to get housing.
And what's worse is that where 30,000 people were, 80,000 were crammed into the space. But again, black folks making lemonade out of whatever. All the jazz clubs rose up, businesses. There was the first female-owned department store in the area. There's a lot of interesting history from that. So, but again, we wanted to tell that story as well.
Excellent. So you shared with me that you're seeing signs of
Yes.
the erasing of Black history, including even the Pullman Porters.
Yes. In my research, in reaching out to see how we can bring more content and enrichment to what we're doing on the 21st, Chicago is the hub for the Pullman Porters and what have you. That's where they originated and where everything is situated. You can't get through to the Pullman Porters Museum because it had been, at one point, it had been removed. The website had been removed. The links to the key content had been removed. And that is in line with some other things that are happening.
That's crazy.
The Bethune-Cookman home is in jeopardy right now.
Do we know who removed that Pullman Porter stuff?
Well, we kind of know, not officially, but again, there's an assault on the national parks because of the Trump administration. They've released a lot of the employees from the national parks.
AKA fired them.
Yes, fired them. A lot of the resources are gone. We know that they removed Harriet Tubman for a minute and then they put it back
because of public outcry.
We know that they are trying to have an assault on the Smithsonian because they say that the African American Museum is teaching the wrong thing about America. We know that the Tuskegee Airmen, that they had pulled some information on them. I'm not sure if all of that's even been pulled back.
They took it off of the Defense Department. They say they put it back, but you're saying they might not have put it all back.
They might not have put it all back. And they've removed some records from some of our Black veterans. So there are all these assaults going. But what I want to say to Californians, we think we have it safe here. But in some of my conversations with some of my librarian staff and what have you, is that we're seeing some books quietly being removed. So our challenge is not going to be a loud challenge. It's going to be a quiet challenge. So we have to stay vigilant and make sure that the right people that are making decisions are in the right places. So we just have to support our library, support our librarians, and which means we need to use those resources. Okay, we cannot take them for granted. Everybody needs to have a library card. You don't need to go into the library. Our city libraries have one of the largest in the country electronic databases and resources and books that you can check out online. So we need to support those and make sure that you can see what is still available so you can tell when something goes missing. So that's something that we can do. And it doesn't cost you any to get an online library card. And same thing with the county. The Los Angeles County, we have these resources. We have a Black Resource Center that one of our members founded that is incredible with the A.C. Bilbrew Library. We need to support these organizations and these resources that we have.
Yeah, these really, really good points because those books being pulled out of the library one by one, we might not notice it. And while they cannot they can't ban our home libraries, it's also true that not everybody can afford to have a home library. Most kids, I saw some startling data about how most kids, Black children, grow up in homes with fewer than 2 children's books.
Right. And if you can check out a sewing machine and a sewing kit from a library, and you can check out a computer from a library, why wouldn't you go and check out a book? Okay? Or something on history. There are so many resources new for our library that you can have and that you can do, and we need to live in those spaces and use those spaces.
So that's the pushback. I mean, it sounds like you're saying, well, the public outcry is making a difference. They had to put Harriet Tubman back. They had to at least claim they were putting back the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yes.
But you're saying the other part of the pushback is using the resources that we have so that they can continue to thrive and stand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And stopping by and saying to the librarian, hey, I appreciate what we have here.
And do you happen to have the bluest eye?
Yes.
Do you happen to have the bluest eye in stock?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Do you have a copy of Cast?
and you can say, can you do a display on this particular author? And they'll do it.
Really?
Yeah, they will.
Wow, I never knew that. See the things you learn around here?
Yes.
So just let's circle back on your events before we run out of time. The screening of 10,000 Black Men Named George by Robert Townsend, which focuses on this history of the Pullman Porters, a key piece of Black history and Black labor.
Black labor and civil rights.
And civil rights, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that is when and where and how do we get in?
That is June 21st, 1 o'clock p.m. at the Los Angeles Library, downtown Los Angeles. Hey, guess what? Parking is only $1 if you have your library card. And if you don't have your library card, you can get it that day. Isn't that incredible? $1.
Do library cards expire?
No, they don't. They don't.
Okay, then I have one.
They don't. They don't expire.
It's not like a credit card. Okay, so that's coming up. It's the same day as our event, but look, there's lots of things to do and lots of people to do them. That's June 21st at the City Library. It's free. Do we need to register in advance?
Free. You need to register. We suggest that you register in advance. Space is limited. We have about 200 seats in the Mark Taper auditorium, and we'll have the reception in their two courtyards, so it'll be a very nice event.
oascla.org/RSVP. But if you just go to the OASCLA, which is our Author Study Club LA,
you can go to events.
And you can go to events, and you can also sign up to tell your story if you have a family member who's a Pullman Porter.
Not just a Pullman Porter, but a family member that is a domestic worker, an organizer, entrepreneur, an everyday person. Just select a historical photograph, create a story in 75 impactful, heartfelt words, and go on and upload it by the 15th. We want your family stories. Don't miss the opportunity to document your family stories.
Yeah, I love that so much. While some folks in Washington are busy trying to erase our history, we are writing it down, documenting it.
One story at a time.
Videotaping it, fictionalizing it like the movie Sinners, which gave me such a great and happy feeling because it reminded me that no matter how much they erase, we are the storytellers of the world. Story. You're not going to erase our stories.
Exactly. Next year is the 100th anniversary of Negro History Week,
wow.
which means we have been celebrating for 100 years our history. No one gave that to us. No one said, we'll let you celebrate. We did that. Carter G. Woodson did that, and he started that effort in 1915.
Okay. We're going to have to leave it there, but it's a great way to leave it. Lura Daniels-Ball, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
With me. Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got an incredible jam-packed show as usual. Let's go to an A. Philip Randolph quote. He says, "Freedom is never given, it is won." And that's the moment we're in right now. Don't forget to tap in on all the socials. KBLA 1580. I'm at DiPrima Radio. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Like my mama used to say, history is now, and we are making it together. Until tomorrow, stay informed, stay safe. One love.
1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Tensions flared outside of a Grand Rapids, Michigan courthouse as protesters clashed during jury deliberations in the trial of ex-officer Christopher Shore, charged with killing a black man, Patrick Luoya.
I think that they are really weighing the options and the facts, and I really, truly hope that they come up with something soon.
The jury is deadlocked, but was told to keep trying. One person was arrested. Jurors are in deliberations today in the Tyree Nichols murder trial. 3 former Memphis officers are charged with beating him to death back in 2023. That was called Get BIN News Now, on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is